Austin, Texas country. It's KOKE FM. Eric Rains. Proud to be broadcasting live here on KOKE TV. I got my thing on right here.
Oh, man, do it. Bam.
Look how cool that is.
Look at that.
Nothing like walking around with a thing. What do you call that?
Lanyard.
My lanyard and the key that opens the door. Hanging out, Mike McClure, Bryce Conway, with, of course, The Great Divide. First of all, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely, man. It's good to be back in Austin.
Yeah, Bob Cole, he called me from downstairs and said, somebody here's got a really nice Prevost. You brought the bus.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do this right. You know, if we're going to go around and spread ourselves around, it's going to be on a bus.
Last time we talked, last time we hung out was the Texas Regional Radio Awards. I got to start off by asking you, because I thought it was a great award show, had a lot of fun, but then I see the pictures afterwards, and you guys got to hang out with Billy Gibbons.
Yeah, that was super cool.
What was that like?
Man, that was one of those, kind of like one of those NyQuil dreams you have, you know, to where you're like, this can't be happening. This is too random. But, you know, a friend of mine that knows him really well was there, and he said, hey, we're going to go hang out in this hotel lobby right next door to the thing. This was after the awards show, and he goes, you want to go over there with me? I said, yeah, sure. And me and Bryce went and just sat in the lobby, and he ordered up pizza, macaroni and cheese, Brussels sprouts, like some French fries. And he just had all this food out, and we sat around talking guitars and music, and he liked our band. He'd heard us play, and he said what was funny is Scott Lester, you know, in the band. He goes, man, that dude looks like he's from the 1850s. I was like, yeah, he kind of is.
Oh, but I was there, and I got to witness it myself when Billy Gibbons looked at Mike McClure and said, I really like your tone. I've always liked your tone.
Yeah, that was cool. He was one of the reasons I picked up a guitar. It was 1986, and my friend and I went, his stepdad took us to see ZZ Top on the Afterburner tour. You know, and they, big cloud of smoke, and their guitars would still be spinning, and I was just blown away. You know, I was a high school kid. And there and then, I knew I wanted to be a guitar player in a rock and roll band, and, you know, getting to hang out and spend some cool time with that guy was amazing.
Can you be cool in moments like that? I know you've been around big artists before your entire life, doing this for a living. There's still going to be times where you kind of meet your heroes kind of thing.
Yeah, and you can't quite tuck your teeth back in your head, you know. There's one picture of me, and he like jumped up out of his seat, and he's showing me and Bryce how his shoulders are uneven from wearing a Les Paul all those years, and he's standing up, and he's kind of moving around back and forth, and my mouth is just wide open, my eyes are bugged out. So, yes and no. One thing that was cool is I did a lot of records with a guy named Joe Hardy. You know, I started working with him. Actually, I'd recorded Cross Canadian Ragweed's garage record here in Austin out at Cedar Creek in '05, and Tony Brown hooked me up with Joe Hardy to mix it, and Joe had done Steve Earle's Copperhead Road, The Hard Way, ZZ Top stuff that really blew me away. So I got to work with Joe for a lot of years, and I cut my foam record down at Gibbons' place, but I never really got to meet him. So I knew a lot of things to ask about. You know, Joe would kind of prep me for if I ever got to talk with Billy. There's some things I was curious about.
Well, I got to introduce the Legend Award, which is really nice. And then backstage, I asked, can I get, then I felt like a fool, but I wanted a picture.
Yeah.
And there was one on stage, clearly, where I'm shaking his hand, but I didn't know how to ask. And so somebody, Mr. Gibbons, can this man have a picture? Oh, yeah, he was just on stage. Then he looked at me and he said, why didn't you turn around to the crowd and take a selfie with you and I? I would never thought to do that, and halfway disrespectful. And what if he said no?
Yeah.
And he was like, I wouldn't have said no. So he said, let me show you how to take a selfie.
Yeah.
And he grabs my phone out of my hand and says, show me the camera. And there was nervously trying to find where the camera is. And then I found it. He goes, head up. Get your head up because you got to tilt the phone down. So I got a lesson in how to take a selfie from Billy F. Gibbons, which is, I'll call it the end of the day.
Yeah, he's one of those people that is, I don't know, he's such an icon, and it's hard not to just be, over the moon meeting somebody like that.
Yeah.
Well, he
keep
won
it
that
together.
Living Legend Award. Who presented that Key to the City to Billy Gibbons?
I think this is the the mayor. I think the mayor of Arlington. Yeah,
that's the official. Well, we were there eating macaroni and pizza with Billy Gibbons, and we're sitting there, and sure enough, Larry Joe Taylor walks up, and he was just joking, and he says, "All right, guys, bar's closed. Y'all have to get out of here." And I said,
no.
"Hey, wait a second. We have the key to the city. We can stay here all night."
Yeah, have you got a key to the city before, Mike?
I have not.
Really?
You know,
we need to try to change that.
Yeah, I would like some keys to some cities. I've had some keys to some small towns, some rural areas. Key to a couple barns and sheds, but really no cities.
We've talked about the Great Divide. Never really went anywhere, but you going off and doing kind of your own thing and recording your music. I'm always proud, like I've got to play a Mike McClure song with Ty England. I'd rather have nothing, but as did Garth Brooks before when he recorded it. But putting the Great Divide back together and for your fans and for the Great Divide fans, I always try to, learn my history and learn from my history. If it wasn't for you guys and the Rangers coming out and doing that, way before Stoney LaRue or way before, Cross Canadian, there's a lot of history that if it wasn't for bands like the Great Divide, we would never be where we are today. Can you look at it like that, or are you just still plugging down the road?
Still plugging down the road, but I've had a lot of time to look back and reflect and kind of see where we landed in the whole pantheon of music coming out of Stillwater. And when I went there, I'd never heard the term Red Dirt, and then I met Tom Skinner and Bob Childers and the Red Dirt Rangers, and I thought, man, their approach there's something to it, something cool, something earthy, kind of rock, and just something that really resonated with me. And then I heard Steve Earle records, and that's like, there's a country dude rocking, and that was a big influence on what we did as the Great Divide. And there wasn't a whole lot of bands around where we were at that were doing original music, and that's one thing that I feel thankful that we did. We got to make a record with Lloyd Maines when we first started, and perfect guy to ever make anything with. And he made us sound good and get to be a better band because we were really rough. And but I think a lot of bands like Ragweed and Jason Boland and Stoney, they saw us out there making a record. Here's a guy who made his own record, and it was harder back then.
Sure.
It was. You had to rent a studio and come to Austin. But
and harder to find a gig, but when I find it, but remember going and hammering your sign up on the pole, covering up the band that played the week before.
Yeah, right over them.
There were
even if they're playing the same night, right over them.
I wasn't going to say that. And nowadays you got social media, you can do a lot of that on your own, or you can reach out to fans out of the state, out of the country, just by creating some art on a computer. Mm-hmm. Back then, you guys were. That
was fun, That was like I felt like kind of pioneers in a way, like old pioneers. We'd making our own flyers and going and, like say, hanging them up, stapling them to the telephone poles in town, sticking them up at the gas station. Having a newsletter that we would do a newsletter each week, and people would sign their addresses on our notebooks, and we just slowly, grassroots built the following. And I think it was a good blueprint for young bands. It's like, go out and treat it like a business. No, don't just go out and be a bunch of yahoos, which we did plenty of that. But, also treat it like a business. Take care of the people that are taking care of you, and be kind. And, it's been a cool trip.
Hanging out Mike McClure and, of course, Bryce from The Great Divide. You got your guitar in hand. You mind playing one for us?
I'll play how about an old classic Great Divide?
Let's do it.
We recorded this song, actually, a few miles from here at Cedar Creek back in 1997 with Lloyd Maines. Well, everything changes, baby. Ain't nothing in your whole wide world ever stays the same. Your future plans were nothing but sunny days. Now you're standing out in the pouring rain. And how could anyone come pick up your heart just to watch it fall. And the lighthouse that stood on the hill, for you, it don't shine no light at all. And I know that he let you down, and he failed to keep you safe and warm. And when the cold wind blows and the rains come around, I wanna be your break in the storm. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Na 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 na. I know there's been darkness in your life. I want to help you find the sun. 'Cause I've been there when the sun don't shine, no. No, you ain't the only one. There ain't nothing more natural than your old lover. Nothing can compare. But when you're alone and the lightning crashes, I wanna hold you in your scare. And I know that he let you down, and he failed to keep you safe and warm. When the cold wind blows and the rains come around, I wanna be your break in the storm. Whoa, 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 whoa. Na 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 na.
Love that song.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's make it louder.
Yeah, it's like a whole group is in here now. Hanging out, Mike McClure, along with Mr. Bryce Conway from The Great Divide.